Hey all, JTC here, and today I wanted to give my ideas for how I would rework / buff Pyromancer. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I don't think Pyromancer's bad. I think Pyro gets a bad rap, same with Unchained in a way, just because of how insanely good Battle Wizard is. How I understand it, how I think it's supposed to go, is that the standard careers are supposed to go something like Battle Wizard is really good at ranged, but is weaker in melee. Unchained is supposed to be the opposite of that, really, really good in melee, but weaker in ranged. Well, Pyromancer is supposed to be this kind of like yin and yang balance. She's supposed to be kind of good at both, the jack of all trades. But the reality is that Battle Wizard's good at everything, and the rest are kind of left in the dust. So I kind of wanted to rework Pyromancer to be that jack of all trades caster, and this is what I came up with. So first off, Burning Head. Pyro's ultimate is really, really bad, to be frank. It has no damage, it has no cleave, it has pathing issues since you hurl it at a storm vermin in front of you, and it just does a 180 and hits like a random pink rat behind you for no reason. It's just really lackluster and not good. So realistically, there are two things that you could do with the ult to make it much better, in my opinion. Option A is to just change two things about it. One, it will instant kill everything it touches, Chaos Warrior and below. So, of course, it wouldn't insta-kill a boss or a lord of any kind, but anything else in the game, trash, specials, elites of any kind, it would instant kill, which would actually make it worthwhile. And B, it should have like 300 or 400% more cleave. It should minimum cleave through 3 or 4 Chaos Warriors and then instant kill all of those Chaos Warriors. That would actually make it a decent ultimate to have. Option B, probably isn't going to happen, but I think it could be really cool. If anyone's ever played Total War or seen anything Total War style, the Burning Head is actually quite a terrifying spell because it is literally this giant burning skull the size of a house that like moves super slowly and like tears down armies and just chews through them. I'll put up a clip of the Burning Head in Total War if I can find it, but I think it would be really cool if Pyromancer were to actually have an ult like that. It would be okay. I think like the skill cooldown should be increased to like 90 seconds or something to compensate, and it should take a second for her to actually like charge the spell, but turning the Burning Head into an actual giant skull that moves across decently slowly but can absolutely like destroy a horde or like deal a massive chunk of damage to a boss before disappearing would also be like really cool and unique and give Pyromancer like a super unique flavor. Next up, passives. Pyromancer only has one passive, which is quite sad. I don't know why she only has one passive, but she should have 3. First off, Volan's Doctrine should just be base kit. I know it's not very unique since Unchained already has it, but frankly, if you're going to play a Sienna career that is melee focused of any kind, you need to have no longer being slowed from overcharge. Just overcharge slow immunity is a huge part of it, and it would just make Pyromancer feel so much better. So Volan's Doctrine should become base kit, as well as a new passive that I created, which I think could be cool. It is called Flaming Strike, and it's simply critical hits cause enemies to ignite. Doesn't matter the weapon, doesn't matter if it's staff or if it's melee. If you critically hit an enemy, it causes them to ignite and burn. I think that would actually be pretty cool, and it would also stay in the flavor of Pyromancer with her crits. And then lastly, let's talk about the talents. Some of the talents need reworks, starting with Ride the Firewind. I actually really like Ride the Firewind in theory, lore-wise and gameplay-wise. Lore-wise because the winds of magic are super fickle, and depending on how strong the wind of magic is blowing near you, you'll have like weaker or stronger spell casting, and that this talent like really encapsulates that. Encapsulates, whatever. And then gameplay reasons, it's supposed to, on paper, allow you to like plan ahead for like big DPS, range DPS, but in practice it doesn't really work like that because just as quickly as the stacks are there, the stacks are gone. So I would change it to this. Every minute, Sienna gains plus 20% ranged power for 30 seconds. This still keeps the same idea of Ride the Firewind. It still keeps that same like general idea that the wind of magic is blowing weaker now and then stronger and then weaker, but it actually allows you to play around with the talent and actually plan ahead and prepare for like big boss DPS or big armor DPS. On the Precipice, this should simply just be changed from ranged power increase to a melee power increase, because she already does have a lot of ranged power increases in here, but not a bunch of melee power increases other than like just doing more crits. So changing this talent from ranged power to melee power would give her a little bit more options in melee, since she's supposed to be, a jack of all trades, good at ranged and melee. Valen's Doctrine became a passive. However, it is going to be replaced with a new talent that I created called Dogma of the Flame, which reads, placing multiple fire dots on the same enemy causes the burn to tick 10% faster, which stacks up to 3 times. I think this is very much an experimental talent, but I do think it could actually be really fun to use, and it could be super unique. It's kind of like a nerfed version of Famished Flames, but rather than the burning dots doing more damage, they just tick more rapidly, which, passively increases its damage. So I don't know if it would be any good, but it sounds interesting. And then Soul Siphon. I know this entire row of talents is supposed to be doing this thing increases this by 10% for 10 seconds, stacks up to 3 times, which I'm okay with the Dogma, the Flame, and Fleet Flame staying like that. But with how Soul Siphon is right now, Soul Siphon is just not good. And really, Pyromancer would be a lot better if she actually had a good damage reduction talent, because as far as I know, every single damage reduction talent in the game, Huntsman, Bounty Hunter, yeah, every single damage reduction talent in the game does not go away after time. It stays stacked up until either A, you die, or B, you take a hit, like with Huntsman. Off the top of my head, the only one that I can think of that is actually timed and has a requirement like this is Exuberance from Ranger Veteran, but Ranger Veteran has a passive of just taking less damage from behind. How much was it? He just takes 30% less damage from behind across the board, so even Exuberance is better than whatever this one was called. Than Soul Siphon. So Soul Siphon should simply just stack up to 3 times, but it should not go away after 10 seconds. But if you eat a hit of any kind, all stacks go away instantaneously. This means that you would actually be able to eat one singular hit for 30% less damage before going back down to no damage reduction, and then you have to build it back up, which is still much better than what we have now, but is still different enough from other damage reduction talents to not be a repeat of another damage reduction talent. And then, lastly, Exhaust. Exhaust is trash. Removing all of your overcharge in one foul swoop with nothing to aid you is really, really, really bad. You might say, well, JTC, Unchained does the same thing with her ult. Yeah, but the thing is, her ult is an AoE explosion that knocks back enemies and actually helps her out. Unchained and Battle Wizard both have a panic button that they can press to help them in a situation. Pyro does not have that. So what I would do is I would change Exhaust to a new talent called Wild Magic. And it reads, gain 10% attack speed and 10% crit chance for 10 seconds. And this would basically give a Pyromancer kind of a mini panic button, so that if you needed to ult to do some damage, which, by the way, with this change would actually make the Burning Head a pretty decent ult that could cleave through a lot. So you could actually use the Burning Head as a kind of panic button with the changes that I made to Burning Head. And then after this, you would actually have a little bit of help in the melee department, because right now, when you ult as a Pyromancer, you just lose everything. You lose all your attack speed, and you lose all of your crit chance. So this new talent would actually allow you to keep some of that and help Pyromancer out in some situations. And then finally, the last change I would make to buff Pyromancer is to remove Famished Flames. Seriously, this invalidates the rest of the Santa Careers. Fat Shark, please.